Hello, hello, and welcome back to Password. We're now on day 15, right? Yeah, we're still here. Or is this the beginning of the day? Oh no, I don't remember what happened last part. Shitto. Leaving the room, we headed upstairs. And we just hung out in the room for a bit. Sure enough, I found Roswell's bed too comfortable and passed out shortly after he'd brought us some sandwiches for lunch. It was strange though. While not as vivid as the other dreams I've had thus far, I still had flashes of things of back home. Not bad, not good, just a reminder of sorts. When I woke up, I sat and rubbed my eyes, looking around the room for Roswell. He was sitting on the floor, reading a book and resting against the mattress to face away from me.
Good morning. Or should I say good afternoon?
How long was I out?
For someone that wasn't tired, you sure did sleep for a bit. A couple hours, I'd say.
He shut his book with a snap and stretched, picking himself up off the floor to look at me.
I think about checking out the gym downstairs. Did you want to come?
Since when do you exercise? He huffed, his nostrils flaring.
I'm allowed to do something if I want.
But the gym.
I'm mostly just curious if I'm the weakest of the group. I'm pretty certain I am, but there is nothing that says it needs to stay that way.
My hero.
You're lucky I'm feeling generous and not forcing you to work out with me.
Well, I'm going to go with you just in case you hurt yourself trying something. I led the way down to the gym. It was quite the. Oh, okay. Quite the whole way down. Quiet the whole way down, shy of one outburst from the rec room. Sounded like Haas and Ty cheering about something.
All right, time to prove that I'm not some weak little bore.
And how are you going to do that?
I read about exercise once.
Once. What do you mean once? He pointed to the weight sitting on the side before rubbing his hands together and struggling to undo his bandana.
I'm gonna lift that.
No, don't hurt yourself. Well, okay, I'll try and find a first aid kit.
I'll be fine.
Maybe try something a little lighter first. I looked behind me to see Dean and Orlando standing there. Although Dean was went right on over to Roswell to act as a physical barrier between him and the weights. What are you two doing here?
What? We're not allowed to work out?
Of everyone currently in this room, the only one I assume that would ever come down here is Dean.
Okay, that's fair.
Why are you two down here, though?
Can't really go outside. Figured I'd just do a little exercise. Same here. Except it's more, I figured it wouldn't hurt, right? Maybe go for a run.
I think I believe you running. I'll believe you running when I see it for myself.
Careful, Dave. You might get roped into going for a run yourself if you're not careful.
Oh no, I'm only supervising.
Well, make sure you supervise me, totally lifting this thing.
Okay. What was day 16? I barely remember what happens in day 15. I don't remember this conversation. I don't know, guys. It's been too long. Oh, okay. Let's go. I threw the door open, scanning the room for Roswell.
Dave?
Slamming the door closed behind me, I wandered over to the bed and fell onto it, groaning.
What's wrong? I mean, I know what's wrong. I was downstairs, but...
We're in danger now, so I rolled over, looking at him carefully. Even after we spoke about today, I'm scared about dying now more than ever.
It's not a great spot we find ourselves, that's for sure. You're welcome to spend the night if that'd make you feel better.
Sure that's okay?
Of course I'm sure. After all, while I'm also, wanting to survive, I'm a lot less, scared of death.
How less scared are you? You're so put together that it's almost like this whole thing didn't affect you at all.
I think I'm just honestly more, ready, in case the worst happens.
I wish that sometimes I was as fearless as you, or that this sort of stuff doesn't get to me the way it does. Roswell wandered over and turned off the lights before returning to the bed.
I've just about got a more. I've just had a lot more time to come to terms with my own death, and that's all.
How long exactly?
Maybe around the time I was 5 or 6 years old.
I sat up suddenly with a frown. You're lying. No way you were thinking about your own death when you were that young. That's not what kids are meant to think about, or even understand.
Well, you try almost dying as a kid and see what that does to you, Dave. Maybe that's why I'm into all the occult stuff. I'm basically a zombie, kinda.
He held his phone up to his chin to light up his face from below, putting a face. As much as it didn't sit right with me, it was enough of a distraction of everything that happened downstairs that I was able to start to calm down. You're a jerk sometimes, you know that? Sometimes.
So long as it's helping.
Roswell stripped off and got to bed. I followed suit.
Just you watch, Dave. Come morning, we'll be able to think about this clearer and can handle it together as a group.
You think so?
I know so. Sleep well, Dave.
I nodded slowly, and Roswell rolled over to cuddle his pillow. In the same way, I rolled over onto my side, asked to cuddle the pillow I had, keeping my back to Roswell. As I lay there with my thoughts, Roswell shuffled over so his back was against mine, sighing out. Roswell? All that got me was the quiet sounds of him asleep, having already gotten himself comfortable. Good night, Roswell. Because day 17 is your date with Thanatos, right? He's pretty good. I like him a lot. Roswell was still asleep, cuddling his pillow. I half expected him to be sprawled out happily, but he seemed to be trembling in his sleep. I reached out for his shoulder, wondering how restless I had been to be so far away as I was, but decided against it. Just as well, because he settled just before I made contact, and rather than risking the potential of waking him up, I drew my hand back. In the moment, I felt like a terrible friend, that he was trying his best to make me feel loved, and that he was able to express that freely while I just didn't know how I felt back. Maybe it was the danger, or maybe I was just that out of tune with my feelings, but hopefully that was able to change sooner rather than later. I rolled out of bed and put some clothes on. My mind wasn't going to let me get any more sleep right now, so I figured maybe going for a walk could help.
Okay.
I feel so bad because, like, I feel like I only got to, like, read Oswin and Benson's dialogue, like, once in, like, the first route, just because, like, their dialogue seems to be just, like, mostly the same between all the routes. It makes me feel like I haven't seen them since I played through Dean and Tyson's routes, you know? A little sad, because I like those characters a lot. Osmond's eyes flicked to the table, and he picked up a different metal. His grip tightened on it as he continued to stare, before setting it down suddenly on the table.
When did this one get found?
In the museum, tucked behind a book.
Yeah, we kind of just found it by chance, not that I'm complaining. I noticed while I was talking, Osmond was staring at Roswell, and in turn, Roswell kept his eyes anywhere else.
By chance, you say? Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. It's found.
I wandered out of the dining room behind a couple of the others before realizing that Roswell wasn't with us. As the others continued, I looked around, peering into the dining room to see if he was still there. Sure enough, he was standing near Osmond, having a hushed conversation about something. I could see it in his shoulders, and how tense he was.
Did you forget something, Dave?
Oh, it's Dave. Good.
Good? Why good?
No reason, really. Just, well, Roswell was just talking about you.
Good things? Bad things?
Perhaps it's best if you two talked about it without me eavesdropping. Have fun, you two. Or Roswell, we'll talk more later.
On his way past, Osmond tussled Roswell's fur and strode out without a care in the world. I tilted my head, confused before Roswell's grumbling drew my attention. What was that about?
Nothing. Nothing. Just, that was a fairly bold move on his part with the money. He's right, and it's his money to give away, but...
He kicked the ground, frustrated before sighing out.
You came up too, but mostly just I'm worried for you, that's all.
Did you want to sit down and talk about it? We don't have to go hunt for metals right now if you don't want to talk. He sat down slowly and cradled his chin in his hands, looking across the table at the opposite wall. I sat down slowly next to him, letting him speak mostly because I didn't know what I could even say to his immediate troubles.
When we got here, I thought that this vacation would be great, or at the very least something to just look back on fondly.
He shook his head slightly, quickly correcting himself.
No, I suppose even if it was a troubled vacation, a terrible vacation, I just wanted something memorable for us. That's what you wanted, right? One last big thing before the rest of our lives.
Right, but... Roswell sighed out, scratching his head.
I didn't think it'd turn out like this. I'm responsible for putting you all in danger, or at least it feels that way.
You're responsible for bringing us here, sure, but I don't think you can wear the blame for the danger. That'd be more, well, there's a lot going on.
There's more? Like what?
Well, I don't think you, can be blamed for the rabbit in the woods, or the Volt, or, well...
Okay, but if we didn't come here, then would you be in danger? I would like to think not.
But if we didn't come here, I wouldn't have gotten to spend time with you like we have. I wouldn't have had to chat with you yesterday about being, worried about death. We probably wouldn't have, done a lot of things. He sighed out, shaking his head, but saying nothing. What I mean to say is, Roswell, is... who knows what could have happened? He looked at me carefully, turning suddenly, and holding my gaze. He stayed quiet for a few moments before a slight frown formed on his... and his tone went serious.
What would the alternative have been?
I frowned back, shifting in my chair, and I wasn't sure how to answer.
Dave, before this vacation, you were a mess, and you kinda still are.
Hey, I'm getting better, right?
That's exactly my point. With all the stress of what's going on, you broke. We were here to catch you, and together we're piecing you back together, sorta.
Right. That seems like a good thing.
But that happened while you were here.
He looked uncomfortable in his chair, moving around, trying to avoid saying whatever it was he was thinking. And?
Dave, what was going on when we all left?
I don't know. I'd maybe,
Your only option, from what I could tell, is to hang out around with Dean. But even then,
what's wrong with that? Dean's a good guy.
he is. But is that enough?
Enough for what, Roswell? Can we just promise? Can't you just say what's on your mind? Just whatever it is, it'll be fine. Promise. His smile faded quick, and he looked away to steel himself.
When your dad died, we watched you break into this husk of who we used to know. You stopped having that spark in your eyes, that coy smile you used to wear, and all around just became more passive, like you were just a lost puppy.
I clenched my jaw at the comparison, but kept quiet as so he could continue.
Even with Dean around, we just get small glances at the person you used to be, but it was just muted. Every day you seemed to grow more withdrawn, and it was honestly pretty worrying.
You guys never said anything, so I don't know. I assumed things were okay.
Things were far from okay, Dave. We were losing our friend, and we didn't know what to do to stop it. We tried to bring you back a couple times, maybe not as hard as we should have, but none of us knew what it was like to just be in your shoes.
He tugged at his fur on his cheeks briefly, sighing out.
Not to that extent, anyway.
I sighed, slumping forward onto the table, and resting my chin on my folded arms like a cushion. I would have worried. I would have worked through it eventually, maybe. It would have caught up to me.
Dave,
He pressed a hand on my arm and shook his head.
Are you sure about that? I've been so scared for you that one day you'll just not show up for school or for a group meeting, and the next thing we hear is that
He trailed off, and we looked at him with a finished up, rubbing his. Wait. When I looked at him, he was finishing up rubbing his eyes. I don't think that I'd actually.
You confirmed it yesterday. That at least it's been on your mind. Dave, I said yesterday that I was fine with dying and death because I'd had time to process my own, but yours.
I could see him tremble, all while being stiffened to the shoulders.
I'm scared, Dave. Maybe of what could have happened, maybe of what could still happen, but all because I feel like I'm the one that puts you in that position.
I said before that you had no way of knowing about the other stuff going on, so.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying how it makes me feel. On one hand, I'm looking at this, knowing how things went now, and feel like I made the right call in arranging it. For sure, don't have to worry about the what if scenario, where we didn't get together. But on the other hand, was the alternative any better? Hearing about my best friend taking his own life versus putting the very same person in a position where he could be murdered by a psycho in the woods? He
shuddered again, sobbing and desperately trying to wipe what tears were starting to form in his eyes to little effect. I know it's selfish to be thinking this way too. Even bad of me to assume that the worst could happen rather than staying positive. I can't help it. I reached out and touched his arm, unsure of what to say. I had assumed Roswell had been one of the most dependable ones in terms of keeping it together, but maybe it had only been about his own fate. Is there anything I can say or do to help?
I don't know. If it was me in danger, I don't think I'd nearly be worried. I don't think I'd nearly be this worried. Be worried. Okay, I don't.
What's that? Why is that? He wipes his face and deepens his breath. It took him a few moments before saying anything, but when he did, I couldn't place the expression when he met my gaze.
The truth is, I had another reason to want to do this vacation like this. Something that, I don't know, hasn't seemed all that important to bring up. Something that still doesn't, but maybe might help.
What is it?
Do you remember that one winter ages ago where I got sick?
Yeah, it was really cold, and we spent way more time outside than we should have. I remember getting in trouble a couple of times, but it didn't seem nearly as bad as when we got to have a hot chocolate after.
Right? And it's abnormal for people to just get sick during the winter either. It's normal.
It's not abnormal. Okay. Roswell, what happened when you got sick? Was it that bad?
Do you remember when I had to move away for a long time? It was because of that illness. Trying to get treatment. At the time, I didn't really understand how bad it was, but that it wasn't treated. But if it wasn't treated, I'd die.
But we were kids, barely in school.
Blame my mother for that, I suppose. Figured that lying to a child meant they didn't have your full respect. I get the sentiment, but I'm lucky I didn't develop some kind of complex because of it.
But that's all well and good. Good anyway, right? You're alive now. You got treated, so it mustn't have been bad. So bad.
Oh, Dave.
Excuse me.
I suppose that's one way to look at it.
I scratch my head, looking at him. How was that meant to help?
I'm alive now, and making the most of it. There's more to the story, but I'll let you figure it out on your own.
You can't just tell me now. Now you've got me curious. What I've missed. He snickered, playing with his fingers.
Consider it my way of keeping you distracted from what's going on. A game, maybe.
Do we need another one? We had the medals to go look for.
Yes. And we're being very productive in that right now.
Hey, only because I was checking in on you.
So, does that mean you want to go find medals now? I'm sure the others have already made a decent head start in searching the house.
It's something to do. Unless you've got something else on your mind that isn't studying. I don't even know what you'd be studying for at this point.
Okay, we'll go find some medals. It doesn't bother me either way.
So if we didn't, what were you planning on doing? With us needing to stick together and whatnot.
I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I got so lost in my thoughts I hadn't realized everyone else had already left.
There are options if you really don't want to go looking. We could head upstairs and play a game. You could read while I attempt to read. Oh, I feel this. Yeah. And Dave and I, we're birds of a feather.
And not convinced that that'd be something you'd enjoy.
I'm sure there might be. You've seen how many books there already are.
How about we start with the museum and see if there isn't another medal hidden away there. Then we can decide from there what we want to do.
We headed upstairs in search of some medals, but it became clear quickly that the one we'd found there already would have been the statement's gone. It's just gone. But it became clear quickly that the one we'd found there already would have to have been the only one. Or at least that's what Roswell assumed when neither his luck or me borrowing it turned up anything new. We wandered around for a bit before breaking for lunch, passing Orlando on the way. Turns out the others hadn't found anything new either based on those he'd run into, but it seemed we were all busy doing our own thing rather than continuing the scavenger hunt. It remained that way for the rest of the afternoon, too, with our search turning up nothing new.
Okay.
We're talking to Ozzy Boy and Benny Boy. Like them, they're cute. As I turned to leave, I stopped, looking back to Oswin.
What is it?
Were you going to talk to Roswell again, right?
Oh. Just some advice. One bore to another is all. Deciding to be the bigger man for a change. Granted, Roswell should know better, so hopefully this will rub off on him somewhat. I doubt it, but yes, thank you for reminding me, Dave. I'll head inside shortly and seek him out.
Nodding slowly, I waved to them both and headed inside. But even with the routine, I was distracted, collapsing on my bed after switching off the light. I thought about Roswell. For the most part of the day, we've been searching, playing the game he'd set up, but I kept coming back to the story he told me. I wondered what I'd missed, what hidden thing there was I wasn't getting. Maybe that was the point, just another thing to distract me from what was going on. But I didn't like the feeling it was giving me. Maybe it was a case of me already knowing what I'd missed, but not wanting to admit it. Rolling onto my back and staring at the ceiling, it was much the same, wondering what secret Roswell had hidden in that story, or why he couldn't just tell me. As I closed my eyes, I wondered. Everything we'd been talking about lately was death. Everything that seemed to taint conversation between us related to someone dying. I didn't know what I disliked more, the way Roswell seemed just fine with it, or that it was just happening. Maybe that was my clue after all, but the conclusion I was drawing didn't sit right with me. Pushing it down, I tried to get some sleep, but I knew that at some point tomorrow I wanted to go to the vault, if only just to put my mind at ease that I wasn't going to see Roswell in there.
Okay.
Day 17, the fun day. I think day 17 is short, or at least a lot of it's the same, right? I thought about breaking the episode here, but
I guess having trouble sleeping, right? Guess you're having trouble sleeping too.
Oh, not really. I mean, yeah, but not for any good reason. Just had stuff on my mind.
How bad?
Nothing too bad, I promise. Just, I don't know, different stuff.
Well, I guess that's fine, but geez, well, I guess it's an improvement.
An improvement? How?
Think about how he was a couple days ago. Maybe yesterday, yesterday it did him some good, or maybe it was something else. Either way, I'm counting this as a win.
I shared a confused look with Dean as we heard the others wandering down the stairs to join us. Because most of this day is the same, right? And Roswell is only up to day 18. I don't think I want to do day 18 in this video. So I'll probably save day 18 for next time. And I'll just I don't know. Maybe I wanted to figure out who tried to kill you so I could stop that from happening again.
What I mean to say is...
He chuckled, shifting on the spot uncomfortably. Anything to keep everyone alive, Roswell, including you.
Then, alright. So long as you have a plan. Then that sounds good to me. Just don't waste, just don't waste away in front of the machine, alright?
I promise. Oh, Orlando said it. Okay, so we're gonna... There we go. I think I'll end the video right here on Thanatos. I'll see you around, everyone.